Manchester United have identified 3 key signings to make this summer. Maguire set to stay, Casemiro set to leave. But firstly, will Ten Hag stay or go? There's indications coming out that Ten Hag will stay, and there's been 5 new rules put in place ahead of next season for Ten Hag. Key signings have been planned with Ten Hag reportedly, and of course, INEOS do have sympathy for Ten Hag because of the injuries, and they like how much he's relied on the youth, but they also think how much he's had to play the youth shows how little squad depth United have. So hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football. Welcome back to all the latest Manchester United news that's going to be rounded up in just under 10 minutes for you guys. So please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. And let's get into the first story coming from The Athletic. During internal conversations, Jason Wilcox has pointed to the high number of minutes that the younger players of Manchester United squad have played this season. Erik Ten Hag is already aware and has sought to ease the burden when possible. Now, I'm glad that Kobbie, Højlund and obviously Garnacho have played so many minutes this season because they're all talented young players. But I think there was 1 or 2 games where I thought just rest Garnacho. Like Garnacho looks exhausted, and I think Ten Hag's dealt with Kobbie Mainoo really well. I think there's been times where Ten Hag did take Kobbie Mainoo off early and did sort of, have him off the odd game here and there where he might have been struggling, and he eased him back slowly. And I think his management of Kobbie Mainoo has been great, but I think Garnacho's just been having to run around absolutely loads. I think Højlund, obviously, he's trying to ease out a bit now, but he was over-reliant on him, and I think those 3 players are great. Those 3 players are key, but when you're relying on 2 19-year-olds to win you an FA Cup final, it's brilliant because those 19-year-olds are talented, and that's great. What a great future, but it also says, the lack of talent in the first team that we've been so reliant on such young players, which I'm glad that we played them so many minutes, and Kobbie Mainoo is special, Garnacho is special, but our reliance on 2 19-year-olds is crazy, absolutely crazy. We should be moulding them in. We should be, sort of putting them in a good environment. If you look at sort of how Cristiano Ronaldo was moulded in and the players he got to play with, it was really nice and easy for him. And I do think, next season, Kobbie and Garnacho will probably be regular starters, but having someone like Olise where, if we do want to rest Garnacho, it's Olise, not Anthony, will make such a difference. Garnacho is only one of 3 teenagers in Europe's top 5 leagues to have played over 2,500 minutes this season, alongside Valencia's Christian Mascaro and Lille's Nenny Euro. It was also said that Man United had given 7,197 minutes to players under the age of 21 this season, more than all but one of the previous Premier League campaigns. And I think the best thing about the season is the youth. The youngsters coming through, the under-18 success. The only good thing about the season is the youth, and I like that Erik Ten Hag plays the youth, and I'm not going to complain about that, but I also think there's a reason why we're playing so many youngsters, and not just because they're incredibly talented, but because there's a severe lack of depth in the first team. There is a severe lack of depth and injury issue as well. So I do think more signings need to be put in place, but obviously I don't think you need to drop Kobbie or Garnacho, but I think more signings to build an environment is what we need, so we're not relying on 19-year-olds to win us cup finals, that those 19-year-olds become moulded and make sure they become the best players they can be. Which brings us into reported Sir Jim Ratcliffe's 5 new United rules. Now, this has come out from The Sun. Do I like The Sun? No. Is The Sun reliable? No. But have we heard similar things from other sources? Yes. So The Sun wrote down what Jim Ratcliffe's 5 new Man United rules were. He said, first of all, age limit 25 for new signings. I heard it was 26, but they're saying 25 for new signings. We know that INEOS kind of want to sign 20 to 26-year-old signings. No Galacticos. They were very critical of the Casemiro signing. They do not want us signing big players from Bayern Munich and Madrid. I think we were linked to Kimmich, but INEOS said, no, that's a Galactico signing. They want players that are 25 that will be going to United as a step up in their career. That are really talented players that can be moulded into superstars. You look at Olise, he's a fantastic player, 22 years of age. He could come to Manchester United. If the club sort ourselves out, he can become a truly world-class player at United. I think Olise is an example of the player that ticks the INEOS boxes. A style of play which is going to be set by technical director Jason Wilcox, which is believed to be possession-based, attacking football-based as well. And the manager is to be asked what position he wants to sign and not what player. Now, Ten Hag said he made it clear that he needs a Rafael Varane replacement, a DM, and a striker to support Højlund in the summer, and potentially a right wing. And assume they will be the 4 signings we'll be going for. And we're going to talk about that in a second. And INEOS to send a list of 3 signings per position for manager to choose from, which is interesting. Now, I personally think that INEOS will have more say than just say, what positions do you want? Here's 3 signings. You choose from one of these 3 signings. I think INEOS will say, we think you should go for this signing. Because realistically, if Ten Hag will go for the signing he knows best. Whereas INEOS might find someone that's a better signing, and they need to make that clear. I do think INEOS will look at Ten Hag on what positions he wants should he stay Man United manager. But I do think when Ashworth is in and Berard is officially in, INEOS will have more of a say in transfers and who we sign. You'd like to think that. as well. So I'm not sure if to believe that or not. I take bits of it with a pinch of salt. I do think that it's not going to be INEOS pick 3 players for each position and Ten Hag chooses. I think there'll be a lot more than that going down behind the scenes. Now, talking of sales, Rafael Varane has gone. Now, I'd have sold Lindelof and Maguire this summer. Now Varane is gone, I'd probably sell Lindelof and keep Maguire because we can't sell every centre-back, especially if Johnny Evans is leaving on a free. We're going to lose Evans, Varane, so if we have to lose one of Lindelof, Maguire, it will be Lindelof that I'd get rid of because Maguire's probably most similar to Varane in terms of stability in the air. I would have sold Maguire, but now Varane's going, I'd keep Maguire for another season. And it was actually said that Harry Maguire wants to stay at Manchester United next season, regardless of who the manager is. With boss Erik Ten Hag set to be sacked, he looks like to be playing for a different boss, but is desperate to stay if he's still wanted. Maguire looks set to talk for the clubs. Maguire wants to be at Manchester United. He's desperate to be at Manchester United. Is it because it's Manchester United and he loves the club? Is it because he's never going to get the money he gets at Man United elsewhere? I think a mixture of both. You know, he wasn't guaranteed game time this season. He rejected West Ham because they weren't matching his wages. I mean, look. Harry Maguire, he's got a lot of self-belief. He was Man United captain. I think with Varane leaving and Evans leaving, he can have a key role. But ultimately, for me, I want a centre-back that's going to be the ideal partner for Martinez, and Maguire can be third choice. And if he wants to be third choice, that's up to him. He can stay. He is on quite high wages where you would want him to be a starter on his wages. But I'd rather have Maguire as third choice than Lindelof because I personally think Maguire's a better centre-back than Lindelof, which does bring us into the transfer news about 3 key signings. Now, again, it said that Ten Hag is probably going to have 3 key signings and then 2 lesser key signings, which could be maybe a full-back and another centre-back or something. I'd like us to make 6 signings. I'd like us to make 2 centre-backs, 2 midfielders, a right-winger striker, and a low-key left-back that could play left centre-back. So do that as a 2 and 1 signing, so 6. But it was said that a centre-back, defensive midfielder, and a striker are the 3 priority areas for Man United. Ten Hag made that clear that he needed support for the young Højlund. He needed a defensive midfielder to get the best out of Kobe and, of course, Bruno, and he said that he also needs a centre-back, particularly with Varane leaving. He needs a replacement for Varane because he basically spoke about how important Rafael Varane is. Whether Ten Hag's here or not next season, I think the next manager of Manchester United will be thinking, well, I need a Varane replacement, I need a proper DM, and I need some reinforcement in attack as well because, you know, we've not been scoring enough goals. I think we saw the 3rd least amount of goals in the Premier League or something, which is very, very concerning. I think Luton got more goals than us and Burnley only got like 1 less goal than us or something crazy this season. That was statistics back in like March that Luton had more goals than us. I don't know if that's the same now. Which brings us in to the next story, which is about the manager situation, because Manchester United, and Ten Hag said this himself, I've been planning transfers with Ten Hag and planning for next season with Ten Hag. That's what Manchester United have been doing, but we still don't know what's going on with Ten Hag because they identified Thomas Frank, Pochettino and Tuchel as the main contenders for Ten Hag's position if they sack him. Now, McKenna was reportedly the first choice. McKenna's now going to sign a new lucrative deal at Ipswich. Has he paid Man United into getting a new deal? Maybe, which brings it to Thomas Frank, Poch and Tuchel. Now, Thomas Frank's been at Brentford. Is Thomas Frank's Brentford better than Erik Ten Hag's Ajax? No. Mauricio Pochettino, Chelsea got rid of him. He's not really won much, but he is a good manager. But he was second choice to Ten Hag 2 years ago. And Thomas Tuchel, who probably is the best name on that list, but he doesn't stay at clubs longer than 2 years. He seems to be a short-term manager, and INEOS want to invest into a long-term project. So they're the 3 candidates that INEOS have written down there or wrote down. Personally, none of them fill me with confidence to replace Ten Hag. If Pep Guardiola's on that list, sack Ten Hag, get Pep in. But when these candidates I'm not 100% sure about, I think, you know what? I'm more than open to keeping Ten Hag. One player that likely will be sold, though, is Greenwood. And it has been said that Borussia Dortmund have had plenty of exploratory discussions with Manchester United about a potential loan deal for Greenwood. United are open to another season-long loan, provided it came with an obligation to buy for a set fee. Which is good because we need a fee for him because pure FFP profit, and he's only got 1 year left on his deal after this. So it's really important we get a fee for him and make some money out of this because there is a good player there, but obviously the problem isn't football. At the end of the day, it was also said at least 2 Premier League clubs have inquired about Greenwood, although he was linked to West Ham and Chelsea, and both clubs said that they hadn't shown an interest in him. Interestingly, when Greenwood was linked to Dortmund put out a statement that they weren't interested in Greenwood. So I don't know if Greenwood's agent is spreading that 2 Premier League clubs are in for him and Dortmund's in for him to try and get him a better deal at the next club he goes to. But the only club I know that's genuinely interested in Greenwood is Juventus, Lazio and Atletico Madrid. They're the only 3 clubs that have shown an interest in Greenwood. Barcelona, top sources denied they showed an interest in Greenwood. Same with Real Madrid. I think Greenwood's agent's putting out information that all these top clubs are looking at him to get him a better move. But because of the situation that's gone around Greenwood and the context, a lot of the big clubs that's taken a step back every time they've been linked to Greenwood to say that it's not true. So it'll be interesting to see where he does move. I think he's going to probably go to Atletico Madrid from what I'm basically hearing as Well, so listen, people, that was the end of today's video, summing up all the latest Manchester United news today. Let me know your thoughts on Ten Hag playing a lot of youth this season. Personally, I like it, but of course, we need more options so we're not over-relying on some 19-year-olds and burning them out. What do you think of the 5 new rules? What do you think on Ten Hag's future? What do you think on the 3 positions identified? Thank you for watching. Bye.